I'm going to talk for a little bit about why I don't celebrate St. Patty's Day anymore. When I was a little kid, um, I think I just wanted to be original. I remember one person asked me what your favorite holiday is, and I lie. I didn't lie. I said St. Patty's Day once because I thought everyone says Christmas and Halloween, even though Christmas and Halloween probably were my actual favorites. But I did really like St. Patty's Day when I was a kid. I remember I had this Lifesaver container, a little rainbow on it, and I imagine that I caught a leprechaun and that I kept him captive in the container. I fed him grass because it's green, and of course, a leprechaun would love to eat grass. Makes sense, like a salad. Um, but I used to like St. Patty's Day because I used to get the little gold coin chocolates, and made me think of like magic and fortune, money. Who doesn't love money? Or the idea that, you could get money one day and just be like rich, all your fortune at the end of the rainbow, yada yada. But I don't celebrate St. Patty's Day anymore. And my friends know why, my closer friends. I was sexually assaulted while I was in graduate school. And I have a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he advised me once. He said that if you're ever talking about this, it's better if you don't say his name, because, and this was good advice actually, regardless of whether or not you're telling the truth, it could be seen as slander. You could be taken to court. You could be sued. And it's true. That's true. So I'm not going to say his name. And if some of you want to comment and say like, oh, empowerment, say his name. There are certain types of empowerment that are a privilege. And I don't have that privilege. So no. And don't comment that, please. So anyway, I've thought sometimes like, will I ever go to a bar again to celebrate St. Patty's Day? And I think probably not. I haven't since. And sorry, that's my brother's self-stemming. Anyway, Craig, shush. I've kind of thought like, what would that even look like for me? And I feel like that would look like me, just being around a bunch of inebriated and jovial people and just like putting on a face, laughing, doing that thing where like you find something to make fun of in a person that they're not going to be offended by, so they're not going to feel bad, but everyone gets a good laugh, like that kind of thing that people do. Yeah, and I just can't see myself really doing that on that day. It takes too much to pretend. And, there's enough in life to make you tired without adding that into the mix. So I want to share a couple of things just because I think there might be things that people who've been through this can relate to. And I want to normalize some things. My birthday wasn't far off from when that happened. And I had recently made a big stink before the assault had happened. I made a big stink about, because there was this trend that was happening amongst our peers where certain people weren't getting invited to things. And I thought that was mean, and I was like, thought it was petty and mean and unnecessary. So I made a big stink about it. I was like, people shouldn't be uninvited to things because, it's petty to just leave people out like that. Let's just not be like that. And I thought, like, well, fuck, I just made a big stink about that. So, yeah, I invited him to my house on my birthday. And I recently came across a picture from that birthday. I've got a pie from Trader Joe's, and I think I put like a candle on it or something. And the truth was, I mean, I was just putting on a face and acting happy, when the truth was, I was so confused, hurt, and I felt like garbage. I felt like I was garbage. Because I thought that the reason that happened to me was because I'm not the kind of woman that's entitled to that kind of respect. And I'm saying this because we need to know that having thoughts like that doesn't make you stupid or less of a feminist. I'm a hardcore feminist. That these thoughts are normal to have. And I get really angry with men because there's so much that happens in our lives as women that I think sometimes I don't understand how they don't understand. So I've been thinking maybe they would understand more if we talked about things more. So, I'm talking. I know this is kind of a long-winded, aimless kind of story. So he was found responsible in the investigation. He had provided an alternate timeline, a fictional timeline. And I had gone to a therapist on April 3rd, which completely debunked his timeline. And I had that documentation for the investigator with the university. It wasn't like a police investigation, it was just with the university. And he said, the investigator said that that if I submitted this officially, that there was a chance that like all of my therapy documents could be like not subpoenaed, but something like subpoenaed or something. This was a long time ago. So I thought, well, therapy is where I talk shit about everybody, and I talk shit with an expectation of privacy. So it's like, maybe I don't want to submit this document, but they knew it existed. They saw it. So it had kind of been, it was known of without being officially submitted. And all this was pre-Me Too. I was pre-Me Too by what, like 1 or 2 years? I forget exactly when Me Too hit. So then there was an appeal. And in the appeal, what happened was I had just moved to LA and I was trying to just be happy, turn corners, but it was so hard because I was also like, this thing was like looming. And so I missed the deadline where I was supposed to submit my therapy documents because I thought by that point I was like, okay, I'm just going to submit it, whatever. I'll just do it. If people want to dig through my dirty laundry and my shit talking, so be it. But I missed the deadline. So on the day of the appeal, I kind of zoomed in. I did it remotely from LA, and I tried to submit them, but they wouldn't let me. But I was told by my advocate that it would be okay because if he wasn't held responsible in the appeal, I could always appeal to the president, and that the president of the university has to allow another appeal if there's new evidence that hadn't been submitted before. And that was new evidence that had been submitted before. And so, yes, UW President Koss, I still have a beef with you. What happened to me matters. And you ignored me and my pain. So, UW President Koss, if you see any of this, I would just like to say, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. It's taken a lot of therapy to convince myself that regardless of how people like you treat me, I matter. What happens to my body matters. Anyway, the appeal completely overturned every single finding of the investigation. And there's a quote from their findings that I'll always remember. It said, "Because texting is ubiquitous to their generation, first of all," I'm a little older than I look. Second of all, I remember when I read that word, I thought, what the fuck does ubiquitous mean? I had to look it up. I have a pretty good vocabulary, but every once in a while a word escapes you. So yeah, I looked it up. Apparently, their rationale was that if I had truly been assaulted, I would have texted him. And I just, that's so crazy. What the fuck would I say? What the fuck would I even say? It was explained to me by the person who, the advocate, that she thought that this happened, that this appeal fiasco happened because they're trained more in plagiarism than they are in sexual assaults. And I was like, yeah, from the way they handled my case, I think that their training was a pizza night and an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit, because this was garbage. So, yeah. My biggest beefs are with he who shall not be named, President Koss, and the members of the appeal board, which have to remain anonymous. So, yeah. Don't really have an agenda in telling this story. It started out with just this idea of explaining why I don't celebrate St. Paddy's Day. People are like, oh, it's still COVID. Oh, we can't go out. I'm like, wasn't planning on going out anyway. That's all I got.